Part 77. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 762. Raphael originally liked the sport of tennis. But since he played a game with Big Brother, he has completely given up on the sport. Isn't this self-defeating? Oh, it's a pity that the senior brother is not here, otherwise I can introduce Miss Si to the senior brother. Raphael clicked his tongue. Look at the way the two of them handicap the ball, even if they are biological brothers and sisters who have been separated for many years. There are doubts. Surrounded by a long silence. Raphael also realized that something was wrong, and was a little puzzled. Why don't you talk? Yu-Jian was the first to break the silence. She sighed, I probably thought too much. Tan Jingmo glanced at Raphael lightly. Well, it's overestimated. It seems that our bet will continue to take effect. Yuan Mingqi smiled slightly, and said casually, actually, the sixth junior brother is not very stupid. People can make mistakes, and the formula is completely wrong. Lang Xian said coldly, what a stupid fellow. The robots he made in the laboratory are all smarter than Lao Lu. Raphael. He was half puzzled and half wronged. What kind of riddles are you playing? It's fine to play riddles, why are you still scolding me? He worked hard to earn money to subsidize his teacher, but these guys didn't appreciate it. I want to withdraw the capital, Raphael emphasized. From now on, the second and third child will not be able to eat and drink with public funds when they go out, and they will have to pay for it themselves. Fourth brother doesn't have experimental funds anymore. Fifth one, you don't even want to take money from me to play your yin-yang technique. Tan Jingmo raised his hand and straightened his tie. Unfortunately, Ling's former chief is quite rich, and he is going to invest in us. Sixth, don't toss away what little role you have left. As soon as the sentence fell, Yuan Mingqi couldn't help but look at Tan Jingmo more. With Tan Jingmo's keenness, he naturally couldn't fail to sense it. His eyes narrowed slightly. Why does he feel that he is the same as the sixth child in the eyes of the fifth child? But Tan Jingmo knew that Yuan Mingqi looked pure and beautiful on the outside, but in fact the heart he took out was darker than anyone else. It's a difficult target. Raphael was very angry. I don't care about you, you single dogs. Yuejian raised her eyebrows, so you can get out of the order. Of course, Raphael said, at least I have someone to pursue, but you don't. As the highest seniority among the brothers and sisters, Tan Jingmo said slowly, okay, let's watch the game. The game ended quickly and was not intense. Sci-fi was completely suppressing the opponent and fighting. Later, she didn't dare to give up the ball, for fear of being ridiculed by Coach Ning. You played really well after the game. The other party ran over, shook hands with her very friendly, and said, I have watched your TV series. Although I don't know much about the history of the Great Xia Empire, you played really well. It's very touching. Art knows no borders. A real actor can tell an unforgettable story with just one look. Sci-fi hugged the other party, you too. This is true sportsmanship. Fair and just. Friendship first, competition later. Sci-fi won this round of competition and successfully advanced to the next round. What she didn't know was that the coaches from other countries who watched her game looked wary again. The top 30 seeded players in the international rankings have basically been thoroughly studied. But Sci-fi's style of play is very novel. Because she doesn't have a specific style of play, like a hodgepodge of everything. But in this way, the way to restrain her cannot be found in a short time. Sci-fi is another formidable enemy. Several people from the Western continent were talking, what's the matter with her? It's okay to be so good at long-distance running, but she can also play tennis so well. It's not just powerful, it's simply perverted. Daxia won't really be hiding his strength all the time, right? It must be Daxia's unique kung fu. Seeing the girl running down briskly, Coach Ning had a headache. Fucking, Just let the ball go. If you let it go, you don't need to hit the net, it's too obvious, it's better not to let it go. Ah. Is that so? I fucking thought about it seriously, but if I hit the ball over the net, the opponent will definitely not be able to catch it. No wonder the elder brother gave way to her like this. It's disgusting. Coach Ning. It seems to be wrong. Coach Ning found that he was almost taken into a ditch by SI fucking, then you can't directly hit the internet. SI fucking accepted the criticism with an open mind. Good coach, I will try my best. Coach Ning felt his head hurt even more. Well, we don't need to practice anything, let's just practice how to hand the ball. SI fucking, yes. Coach Ning picked up the racket, let's go to the training ground. Coach Luo followed behind, unceremoniously complaining to his old friend, you dog, I'm so happy, I'm still pretending here, bah. This time the international games is on the winter vacation, and more people are watching it. So far, SI fucking has won 2 gold medals. The women's 5,000m and women's 10,000m long distance races surpassed the second place by an absolute advantage. SI fucking's discussions were also extremely high. There are new hot searches coming online every day, and the moose are both happy and sad. Report from the front, a certain female star was taken to train alone. Guess what she is training? What? I don't know tennis, but looking at Kinking's play, isn't the ball very simple? It's already at this time, don't you know that her simplicity is different from ours? I saw it, she was specially dragged by Coach Ning to practice how to hand the ball, one-on-one special training, be sure not to let the ball pass so obviously in future games. Laughing to death, the coach didn't even think that one day he would train how to let the players pass the ball. Coach Ning really never thought that such a day would come. But SI fucking was a quick learner, and he learned several handicap methods in a short time. Coach Ning was very pleased. He believed that in a few days, SI fucking's handicap acting skills would be perfect. There is another thing that worries Coach Ning. Although he intends to let SI fucking participate in the tennis doubles, in fact no player in the men's and women's doubles can keep up with her style of play. Doubles not only depends on personal skills and strength, but also depends on the cooperation between the two sides. Sometimes personal ability is too outstanding, and doubles will be thankless. SI fucking also saw Coach Ning's thoughts. She pondered for a moment, how about I recommend someone? Coach Ning remembered Coach Luo's words and hesitated, brother who taught you how to play tennis? No, absolutely not, SI Fu said sternly, he can't show up, and I won't beat him up if he shows up. It was only after she gave up the ball yesterday that she realized that the senior brother gave her the ball so perfunctorily. Feeling unhappy all of a sudden. When the eldest brother comes back, she will settle accounts with him. Actually, my brothers and sisters are pretty good at playing tennis. SI fucking snapped his fingers, I'll ask them, the coach is waiting for me. Coach Ning. Several. Will. What a huge and strange family this is. At the international games, the ball doubles event does not require candidates to be reported in advance. The mixed doubles event was ranked last, and the women's doubles started on the second day. Yuejian never refuses SI fucking's request. She also temporarily sealed the bloodline of the evolutionary, and disguised herself on the stage. Coach Ning sat under the stage holding a thermos cup, a little nervous. In the auditorium, Raphael glanced around, where is the third child? Why didn't you come today? Did you go to the public fund to eat and drink again? Tan Jingmo said lightly, going to play. Raphael snorted, it must be because he hasn't been tortured by the big brother, but he still has the mood to play. Tan Jingmo looked at Yuejian who was playing doubles with SI fucking on the court, and fell into a long silence. Sure enough, he couldn't have any hope for Lao Lu. As long as such dodging skills can be used in other places, Lao Lu has become the most powerful person in the world. When he was at the top of the cloud before, Yuejian played tennis with Sci-fi. It's just that the pair of seniors and sisters have never won, because the opponent is the elder brother and Tan Jingmo. It was completely suppressed and beaten. Now let go all of a sudden, Yujian is still not used to it. Sci-fi whispered, "Third senior sister, we have to handicap, otherwise I will be shaved when I go back." She was getting more and more distressed about her hair. Yuejian suddenly said, "Oh, it's just to let the opponent score, don't worry, I understand." The serve hits Yujian's hand. When Coach Ning Yuejian also typed online, he spit out a mouthful of water. Puff. Coach Ning stared blankly at the field. No wonder they are sisters, they make the ball in the same way. What a strange and outrageous family it is. At this time, the Yin family. Yin Yongzi has kept a low profile these past few days, and her life is 2.1 line. After returning to the Yin family from the Evolved Alliance today, she found that the juniors of the Yin family had put a projector in the hall and were watching a tennis match. Yin Yongzi was a little puzzled. Since when did the Evolvers care about ordinary people's games? Yin Yongzi had no interest at all and was about to leave when she heard exclamations. "Wow, sister fucking is amazing." She also improved her hand handling skills. "The sister next to me who is fighting with sister fucking is also very good. Sister fucking can win 3 more gold medals in tennis, so excited." Yin Yongzi's footsteps stopped suddenly, and she couldn't help being a little startled. Did Si fucking go to the sports meet? But isn't she an evolutionary? There is a huge difference between an evolutionary and an ordinary person. Even if it is a C-level evolutionary, its physical fitness is far stronger than that of ordinary people. For example, if an evolutionist runs 100 meters with an ordinary person, the upper limit of the evolutionary person may be 5 seconds and 6 seconds, while the average person is only 9 seconds or more. So the International Games is a sports meeting specially held for ordinary people. Yin Yongzi couldn't help thinking in her heart. What if the International Games organizing committee finds out that Si fucking is an evolutionary? Can she still win glory for the Great Xia Empire and continue galloping on the track? Good morning. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 763. No matter what, if Si fucking participates in the International Games as an evolutionary, that is to reduce dimensionality and strike. Such a thing is not allowed by the International Games. After all, evolutionists and ordinary people are already 2 groups. It is precisely because the genes of the evolved ones are better, some people once seized this loophole and specially participated in this kind of sports competition to earn bonuses. Therefore, the International Games added a hidden rule 30 years ago, not allowing evolutionists to participate. Yin Yongzi's eyes were indifferent. In order to win more gold medals for Daxia, Si fucking actually used such a method to cheat. But she had to admit that there were indeed many things in Sifuking Hui. Yin Yongzi glanced at the large projection screen, sneered in his heart, and turned back to his room. She quickly found the complaint number from the official website of the International Games and called. The phone was connected quickly. Hello, Yin Yongzi pretended not to know anything. That's right, have evolved players been allowed to participate in the International Games? The other party said something, saying that this is still a ban. Yin Yongzi was a little surprised. Can't it? But I clearly saw an evolutionary playing a game. Did she ignore the rules and play secretly? Hearing this sentence, the other party's expression became serious, and he began to ask her for basic information. Well, yes, her name is Si fucking Yin Yongzi said, she is still a high-level evolutionary. I think she has already won a few gold medals. Isn't this too unfair to other ordinary athletes? Okay, wait for your investigation report. Call ended. Yin Yongzi let out a breath slowly, but there was a secret joy in his heart. With Sci-Fi's evolutionary level, the international games certainly can't touch her. But as long as Sci-Fi's gold medal was revoked, his reputation would be ruined in half. She is happy with the result. Finally, there is something that can make her physically and mentally happy. Yin Yongzi was in a good mood, and specially opened a bottle of red wine to celebrate. On the other side, Dong sang. In the hotel. Sci stretched his waist and said lazily, "Actually, I'm still a passer." After the women's doubles ended, she did not ignore Coach Ning's despairing expression. Therefore, in order to prevent the incident of playing the ball on the net in the future, Coach Ning immediately took Yu Jian to train the handicap technique. As if thinking of something, Sci suddenly turned his head and blinked, "Boyfriend on bail, why don't you play tennis mixed doubles with me? Others really can't cooperate with me." Yu Jian touched her face, "I can't promise you this." Sci raised his head, "Huh. You were originally sealed by me as an evolutionary bloodline, and your self-protection ability has declined." Yu Jian looked at her steadily, and said in a low voice, "If I play, I can only do it if I seal the evolutionary bloodline to absolute fairness. But if both of us are sealed as evolutionary bloodlines, if something happens, I can't take care of both." "That's right." Sci was overwhelmed and didn't regret it. "Then I'll tell Coach Ning that I won't participate in this project. There is something to gain." Sci jumped off the sofa, put on his shoes and went to the lounge on the third floor. In the lounge, the person in charge has been refreshed these days. He praised every coach and athlete vigorously, and he did not hesitate to increase the bonus amount. "Where's Comrade Sci?" The general manager looked left and right. "Where did you go? I must thank her greatly." Coach Luo was about to go upstairs to call her, when Sci opened the door and walked in. She explained the reason why she did not participate in tennis mixed doubles, and the general manager expressed her understanding. "Oh, I didn't expect that being too strong would be a sin," the general manager sighed, "but Comrade Sci Xiao, you have reserved several gold medals for us, are you interested in getting some more?" Sci had a bad feeling. "What do you mean?" "I think you can try equestrianism. There are a lot of horseback riding scenes in the female general of the kingdom, and you did a great job." "We really don't have any equestrian talents." The chief person in charge had a green light in his eyes. "And weightlifting? You are so strong." "No. No, you are not heavy enough for weightlifting." "Hey, let me think about what else you can do. There must be many projects you can participate in." The person in charge became more and more excited as he thought about it. "What do you think about rowing? Can you drive? By the way, you must be able to fencing. I think boxing is no problem for you." He reported a series of project names, and he had no intention of stopping at all. Sci. It doesn't have to be. Coach Luo clutched his heart, looking like he was about to faint. Sci touched his chin and pondered for a moment. "Speaking of which, I'm actually pretty good at shooting." Her spear skills were learned from Ye Wanlin. In the past, she practiced with live targets in the forest, and she could hit the prey just by listening to the sound and shooting blindly. Sci was eager to try. "Let me shoot. I guarantee that I am much better at shooting than tennis and running, and I will shoot." The person in charge. "Your will and will not seem to be different from everyone else. Not knowing tennis means not being able to handicap the ball. What does it mean to be able to shoot?" The person in charge fell into a very serious silence. Boom boom boom. At this moment the door was knocked. The person in charge immediately restrained his wolf-like expression. "Please come in." Sci tilted his head. The door opened and a group of people entered. Wearing a black uniform with a gun on his waist. Such a battle made everyone in the room tremble. The person in charge also changed his face. "Who are you?" Someone reported by real name that MSSI fucking used some unfair means to participate in the international games. The leader took out a certificate and said flatly, "Miss SI, please come with us." As soon as the words fell, the faces of several coaches changed. This is the monitoring team under the international games, which specializes in managing athletes' doping and other matters. Many years ago, Su Wangtong was also taken away by this group of people. Then came the news that she took doping and was banned for 10 years. Although this incident was vindicated 4 years ago and the truth came to light, no matter what, Su Wangtong's career as an athlete was also ruined. No one expected that the scene would happen again after many years. What method? The chief person in charge looked coldly. If it is a doping drug, it has been tested many times. Based on your words, are our athletes taken away? The captain of the inspection was indifferent and alienated. Sorry, it involves confidentiality, and I have no comment. The general manager laughed angrily. There is no such thing as you. Coaches, seniors, it's alright. SI fucking smiled lightly. I'm not afraid of the shadows slanting, I'll go with them. If it's quick, we can have supper together at night. Hearing this sentence, the inspector captain gave the girl a sarcastic look. Eat supper? It's true that a newborn calf is not afraid of tigers, with such a big heart. After entering the monitoring team, within 24 hours, there was no chance to come out. Su Wangtong held SI fucking's shoulders tightly. Fucking, Chen Xing and I will accompany you, we are really worried about you alone. She has been there, and she knows what it feels like to be unable to speak clearly and to be powerless. Trust me. SI fucking blinked. I will continue to participate in the competition. Su Wangtong was startled. The girl had already stepped forward. The expression of the captain of the inspection team eased. It's interesting, let's go. The door was closed. There was a moment of silence in the room. Boss, we have to go there. Su Wangtong looked at the person in charge. You also saw how Chiao was deliberately slandered a few days ago. If you help her, suspension is secondary. SI fucking was originally a contestant who was temporarily pulled over. It's about her reputation and honor. Su Wangtong will never forget how malicious the public opinion on the internet was when she was sentenced to a 10-year ban by the international games. So what if it is clarified later? The person in charge lowered his voice. I understand, I'll go to the committee now and ask what's going on. SI fucking was taken away from the hotel by the inspection team, and this matter cannot be concealed. Soon, rumors spread back to the Great Xia Empire. Gossip, SI fucking was taken away by the monitoring team. It is terrible to be taken away. Once it is found out that the matter is true, all the results will be invalidated. I guessed it a long time ago. I guess they took stimulants or some banned drugs. Otherwise, how could someone have such developed motor cells? It doesn't matter if you know how to run and play tennis. Let's say you have acted in horseback riding and fencing, how can you still play shooting and kayaking? It's so funny. I don't know if I should say it or not. The stimulant is just a stimulating effect. You don't know how to do these sports, and taking stimulants is useless. Are the blacks out of their minds? The keyboard man who can only type on the keyboard is here again. If this is not the case, your apology is not enough. I don't have any hope for the international games anymore. Su Wangtong was misjudged and left, and Chiao was maliciously sentenced to run away. Can't you see the true face of the referee? At this moment, monitor the room. Supervisor, Miss SI, please accept the inspection. From the beginning to the end, SI fucking was very calm and steady. She raised her chin slightly. Please go ahead. However, if it is found out that I did not use the blood of an evolutionary to compete, you guys, publicly apologize to me. The actions of several members of the monitoring team were stunned, including the chairman who was just invited. They all looked at the girl sitting on the chair. She has a very peculiar aura about her. Unruffled in danger, calm and calm. The chairman of the committee was very curious as to why Sci-fucking was so calm. The fact that she is an evolutionary is probably already a conclusion. If the evidence is added, she will be handed over to Free State. Sci-fucking smiled slightly, calmly, open, apologizing to Daxia, including the misjudgment of Ms. Su Wangtong taking doping 11 years ago, and the car accident with Mr. Sheng Chenxing. All accounts must always be settled. It's closed again, people are going crazy, Spirit is tortured. In fact, everyone doesn't know that after learning so much and with such a violent style, Yewonlin is the real source of evil. 23,333, such as driving indiscriminately and shooting things. Turning the lanterns at night, oh. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 764. Sci-fucking could vaguely guess that what happened between Su Wangtong and Sheng Chenxing was intentional because the time was too close. Whether Su Wangtong was sentenced to a 10-year ban for doping or Sheng Chenxing retired midway due to injury, both caused an uproar in the sports world at that time. It also caused the Daxia Empire's reputation in the outside world to drop a lot. This will also lead to the loss of luck in the entire Daxia Empire to a certain extent. Luck is a mysterious thing. How to increase and how to decrease is also a mystery, and there is no concrete and specific method. But there is no doubt that improving reputation is the easiest way to improve luck. Sci-fucking has been deprived of her luck since she woke up, and she is also very sensitive to similar things. In addition, there have been many attempts to attack the Great Xia Dragon Vein, which is the source of luck for the Great Xia Empire. Therefore, Sci-fucking had to suspect that this was also a way to weaken Daxia's luck. But there is currently no evidence. Regardless, there's nothing wrong with being suspicious and cautious about things like this. If her guess is true, what she has to do now is to clarify all the events that have affected Daxia's reputation. Only when the greatest openness is achieved can the effect be strongest. Sci-fucking thought casually. Since someone didn't want her to participate in the competition, she didn't want her to participate in the competition, but she wanted to participate more. The more gold medals you get, the stronger the luck gathered by the Daxia Empire will be. The chairman of the committee smiled lightly. Miss Sci-fucking, I really admire your courage, but sometimes courage is of no use at all. You broke the rules and the international movement will hold you accountable. Evolvers are no secret among the top international minds. After all, no matter how evolved the Evolvers are, they will eventually live on the same continent as ordinary people, and there will never be a lack of economic exchanges. It's just that the ordinary people don't know the division of power in the evolution world. I don't even know what the three major families of evolution are. The chairman only regarded Sci-fucking as someone like the group of evolvers who cheated and obtained bonuses by relying on their evolutionary bloodline decades ago. Sci-fucking held his head with one hand. You have good courage. The chairman of the committee didn't want to say any more nonsense. He just waved his hand and asked the inspection team to take Sci-fucking to the evolutionary bloodline testing equipment. This detection instrument was produced by the Free Continent Intercontinental Research Institute. Even if the evolutionary bloodline is so low that it can be completely ignored, the instrument can detect it. The chairman of the committee sat aside and waited. When there is evidence, he will send the entire Daxia Empire team back this time and cancel all their results. In this way, there is no fear that the fortune of the Great Xia Empire will not fall to the bottom. The chairman of the committee has already begun to think about the bright future in his mind. Present at this time, the inspection team leader suddenly spoke in a strange voice. The test showed that Miss Sci-fucking does not have any evolutionary bloodline. The committee chairman's idea was interrupted. He stood up suddenly and his tone changed. What did you say? President, "We have checked several times," the inspection team leader stammered. "There is really no evolutionary bloodline, and the instruments also show that Miss Si fucking is a completely ordinary person." The chairman of the committee rushed forward with some disbelief and looked at the large characters on the test screen carefully. "Evolutionary bloodline not detected." This is the same sentence over and over again. There is also a series of data below, showing that Si fucking's physical fitness is not higher than that of ordinary people, and is even slightly lower. The evolutionary bloodline of an evolver is blocked, which is equivalent to having an organ removed. It will indeed reduce physical fitness to a certain extent. The committee chairman's face became a little distorted. Si fucking pinched her wrist and walked out of the instrument lightly. "How are you doing? Do you know the words?" The committee chairman's breathing was rapid, and large drops of sweat broke out on his forehead. Cold sweat soaked his clothes, and his back felt chilly. The reason why he believed the complaint call so quickly was because Si fucking's motor cells were indeed too developed. But how come she doesn't have an evolutionary bloodline? "Oh, by the way, there will be a shooting competition tomorrow and I will take part," Si fucking said calmly. "I am going to win a gold medal. When I receive the award, you should make all preparations and publicly tell me and everyone." Xia apologizes. Her tone paused, and she suddenly felt serious, but there was still a slight smile in her words. "Otherwise, you don't want to know what the consequences are." When he said this, Si fucking paid close attention to the trembling of every muscle on the committee chairman's face. She narrowed her eyes. There is indeed a conspiracy. Si fucking turned around and dialed a phone number to ensure the coaches were safe. "Hey, yes, coach, I'm fine. It's 8 o'clock now, so I'm going to have a late night snack," she laughed lazily. "Wait for me, I'll be there in a minute." In the surveillance room, the chairman of the committee was completely anxious, almost furious. "Isn't there any way you can stop her from participating in the project? A person's energy is limited. Si fucking is only 20 years old this year. How can she have time to learn so many things?" The committee chairman's expression became distorted. He spent more than 10 years of hard work to defeat Daxia several times in the field of sports competition. He also succeeded Su Wangtong and Sheng Chen-Xing, as Ziwixing in their respective fields, completely fell. But Sheng Chen-Xing actually ranked first in the men's 100-meter preliminaries 2 days ago. Seeing that the Great Xia Empire was getting stronger and stronger, another Si fucking came out of nowhere this time, and the committee chairman was in a panic. He had no doubt that everything he had done was about to come to nothing. The inspector general is the confidant of the committee chairman. Hearing this, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. "President, this is our private decision after all. She has not violated the rules now, so it is impossible to ban her openly." The chairman of the committee took a deep breath. "We will change the rules immediately after the session and limit each athlete to participate in no more than 2 events. The inspection team leader nodded and asked hesitantly, "President, tomorrow morning?" "Apologize." The chairman of the committee recalled that Si fucking dared to question the swimming referee directly in front of the camera, and his heart sank. Otherwise, she might really go crazy. But what made him even more anxious was how to further reduce Daxia's reputation. The committee chairman's eyes were dark. "It seems that we have to think of some other ways." At 11 o'clock, Si fucking returned to the hotel after eating supper. Uzian is working on the sofa. He was wearing a white sweater, which didn't look as sharp as the gray suit. After hearing the footsteps, he looked up. "Do you remember what I said?" Si fucking said confidently, "I don't remember." In fact, she remembered everything. She remembered that he told her to come to him first if anything happened. But if she doesn't squeeze Tan Jingmo, she really can't live with it. Uzian sighed softly. "There is really nothing I can do against you." A video file opened on his computer. The quality of the video is a bit blurry and it has obviously aged well. But the person in the video, Sci-fucking, was very familiar. He was the committee chairman she had just met not long ago. Listening to the voice from the video, Sci-fucking's eyes were cold, sure enough. Sheng Chenexing's leg injury was caused by malicious intent. With this video, a lot of things will be solved. Sci-fucking gave him a thumbs up and praised him sincerely, that's awesome. Yu Xian's eyebrows moved slightly, no reward. After a pause, he called her, girl. Sci-fucking didn't hide it from him, the clothes I embroider for you are your reward. I will give them to you after I finish participating in the competition. His eyes were gentle and he smiled softly, okay. The next day. At 10 o'clock in the morning, it is the women's 50-meter pistol competition. The audience was already used to Sci-fucking's appearance, to the point of numbness. Oops, a certain hexagonal warrior is here again. This hit is too accurate, I think she can hit her even if she is blindfolded. The Mousees are not far behind. King King's next movie will be a spy movie. There is no doubt that Sci-fucking won another gold medal. After she stepped onto the podium, she did not express her thoughts immediately. The chairman of the committee clenched his fists and could only bite the bullet and hurried onto the stage and began to apologize. It was the fault of the organizing committee and the inspection team for taking Miss Sci-fucking away by mistake. I would like to apologize to Miss Sci-fucking and the Daxia Empire. This is not a long paragraph, but the chairman of the committee said it with difficulty. Under the gaze of everyone, he felt extremely embarrassed and embarrassed. The sun comes out in the west, will you actually apologize? There is no such thing as a proactive apology. I probably thought of banning Ching Ching as well, but in the end, the slander was not successful. We in Daxia are not surprised. After the committee chairman finished speaking, he wanted to go down immediately. But Sci-fucking spoke up, don't worry, according to our agreement, there are still matters involving Coach Su Wangtong and Senior Sheng Chenxing. This sentence made the audience at the scene and in front of the screen stunned. The committee chairman laughed angrily, what agreement? Su Wangtong's misconception of doping was clarified 4 years ago. What does it have to do with Sheng Chenxing? He said this with great confidence. What happened to these two people was indeed his fault. But so what? Who has evidence? Sci-fucking could tell the committee chairman's thoughts at a glance. She said calmly, of course, but if you take the initiative to apologize and I do it, the results of the two methods are different. The committee chairman was furious, what on earth are you talking about? The picture on the big timing screen suddenly changed, and a video was inserted. Find a way to get him into a car accident without killing him, just injuring his legs. Yes, the injury is not fatal but it must be to the bone. If it is a minor injury, he will definitely still have hope of participating in the competition again. But when the injury relapses on the field, he will have no choice but to withdraw from the competition. He will definitely have to bear the consequences of his injuries. Infamy. Okay, I look forward to your performance. The scene ends abruptly here. Shua. All eyes were focused on the committee leader. Good morning. In fact, the title of the book is also a foreshadowing. There are still a few foreshadowings waiting for me to write about the next big plot. I will explain them one by one. OUO. Pirates, please stop pointing fingers at me. I won't change it even if you say it. I only care about genuine readers. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 765. There was a dead silence. Not even the sound of breathing. The head of the International Games Committee stood where he was, his body stiffened and numb in an instant. His ears buzzed, as if he couldn't hear anything. The International Games has a history of more than 100 years. Needless to say, in the last century, the Internet 10 years ago was not as developed as it is today. Not to mention, twice as many people watched the International Games this year than last year. As soon as any news comes out, the influence it produces is also huge. This is why the chairman of the committee is so anxious. He stared blankly at the big timing screen playing the scene again and again of him asking someone to maliciously cause a car accident, causing Sheng Chenxin to hurt his bones. This is his office. All surveillance videos are also kept by him alone. This video was deleted by him a long time ago, so how could it appear? The chairman of the committee felt cold all over, and his brain stopped functioning at this moment. The audience was even more shocked to the point of speechlessness. Shocking news, Sheng Shen's injury turned out to be man-made? This chairman of the committee is so vicious, he ruined Sheng Shen's sports career. Sheng Shen could have won the gold medal all the time, but he didn't even think of Sheng Shen's injury and retirement. I don't understand what the picture is for the organizing committee of the international games. Isn't it the same for whoever wins the gold medal? My grandfather said that this seems to be without reason, but it is actually ruining Daxia's luck. Think about it, if this kind of thing happens a few more times, the luck of our empire will be lost bit by bit, and the accumulation of little things will become a lot, which is terrible. In front, who is your grandfather? He has appeared several times. He must be a hidden master. Am I the only one who cares about where this surveillance came from? Damn, my wife can't be a hacker. On the field, everyone's movements stopped. Sci-fi stood on the podium, his eyebrows were still calm. Don't worry, there are more. The chairman of the committee stood where he was, and before he could react, he heard the girl snap her fingers. The picture on the big screen changes accordingly. Another period of surveillance. This is what happened in the monitoring room after Su Wangtong was taken away by the monitoring team 11 years ago. The incident happened only 1 year after Sheng Chenxing's car accident. Nothing will be detected in the first place. It is only necessary to tell the public that she has taken doping, and the results of all events will be invalidated and suspended for 10 years. They have no evidence. What I say is evidence. Appeal. Do you have this network and background? No. The video reveals the whole face of the chairman of the committee. Like a thunderclap on the ground, the two explosive news completely silenced everyone, and they were all shocked by the evil and insidiousness of the chairman of the committee. Su Wangtong gritted his teeth, his eyes were red. Whether she has taken stimulants, she is naturally clear. As an athlete, she has always been cautious about her diet, never eating out, and drinking water carefully. During the 6 years of her suspension, she appealed several times, but she was beaten back this time because it was a conspiracy from beginning to end. Sci jumped off the podium. She embraced Su Wangtong, who was trembling constantly, and said softly, "Coach Su, you are not wrong. I am sorry that I found out about this too late. Justice delayed is no longer justice. No one can make up for what Su Wangtong has lost over the years. Career, fame, and dreams. Too much, too much." But even though many years have passed and many people have forgotten what happened back then, she still wants to clear Su Wangtong's name. Su Wangtong choked out a sob, and it took him a long time to make a sound. Thank you very much. Although the organizing committee of the International Games announced that she did not take doping 4 years ago, the impact was not as great as that of her being taken away from the arena. To this day, many people still believe that she won the gold medal because of doping. Sci raised his eyebrows. All you need is a smile to thank you. Hearing this sentence, Su Wangtong was stunned and hesitated for a while. Fu Qing, did we meet a long time ago? Sci blinked his eyes. Maybe it's also possible. You are a bit like a player I met before. Su Wangtong tilted his head, with long memories in his eyes, but the ages are not the same, and the looks are completely different, but you feel very similar to me. As she said that, she sighed softly. It's a contestant who participated in an individual capacity. She is very good, but the strange thing is that I only saw her in that international sports meeting. Su Wangtong murmured, do the math, She should be 29 years old this year, and she won't be treated unfairly to withdraw from the international games. Sci-Fucking's eyelashes trembled slightly, and he said in a low voice, maybe. Su Wangtong smiled, actually, I am also your fan, but I still have to restrain myself in front of the children. Sci-Fucking rubbed his chin, Wangtong, give me your address, and I'll secretly send you a photo album. After finishing the game in a while, I'll take you to a place. Su Wangtong was very happy, okay. The behavior of the chairman of the committee was revealed, which completely aroused the anger of the crowd. The extremely angry audience threw out the bottles in their hands and threw them all at the chairman of the committee. The chairman of the committee was in a panic. He had a panicked look on his face, and fell into a state of impotent rage. This is a composite video, he roared, how could I do such a thing? This is fake. His mind was in a mess. Because he didn't know where the two pieces of monitoring came from, and how he was suspected. Could it be? The chairman of the committee suddenly raised his head and looked at Sci-Fucking. He suddenly remembered what she said in the monitoring room yesterday. You don't want to know what the consequences are. The girl's eyes were quiet and flat, as if everything was under her control. But the chairman of the committee has no chance. Roland, who had been waiting for a long time, came forward with the investigator. Mr. Karl Harman Hakha, he took out an arrest warrant, you are suspected of malicious homicide, please come with us. The chairman of the International Games Committee was taken away by T18 as a criminal, which was something that the entire organizing committee did not expect. The other members were also shocked when they thought that Karl Harman had done so many things in private in the past 10 years. The members quickly sent someone to start a deep cleanup, and must immediately investigate all abnormal events. However, the international games will continue, under the responsibility of the vice chairman. Security personnel maintained calm at the scene. This afternoon, there will also be a 16-8 women's tennis match. While scolding the chairman of the committee, the audience watched Sci-Fucking's match with great interest. Sci-Fucking once again stood on the field, lowered his voice and asked, "Third senior sister, how did you achieve yesterday's training?" Yuejian made an okay gesture, "Don't worry, I have learned how to let the ball go." This time the handicap did not follow the net. Tsukimi controlled the power very well and let the ball fly out of bounds. In the end, the two entered the quarter-finals with a good result of winning 3 sets in a row. Coach Ning was very pleased, "Look, our handicap training results are still good. The sisters all know how to handicap the ball, not bad." Coach Luo. Nervous. What is there to be proud of? Here, in the interrogation room. Karl Harman was pinned to a chair and could not move. Roland was smoking a cigarette. Be honest, who told you to do this? Karl Harman's eyes were filled with deep fear, he gritted his teeth, "No one, I just don't like your big summer. Are you a bunch of sick people worthy of participating in the international games?" Of course it is impossible for him to confess to the person who found him more than 10 years ago. In fact, he didn't even know who it was. It's only happened once in so many years. Every time he successfully attacked the players of Daxia, he would get more rewards. "Sir, I checked," a search officer hurried over with a tablet computer, "there will be an extra sum of unknown funds in his account every month." Roland narrowed his eyes, "Who gave it to him?" "The bank account number is different every time, but the amount is the same," the search officer said, "but the strange thing is that when we checked the bank account number, we found that it didn't exist at all." Roland frowned, "How could it not exist?" The search officer added, "It may be encrypted, and I have already sent it to the chief." Roland nodded, and his eyes fell on Karl Harman again. "It seems that, as Chief Margaret said, someone instigated maliciously targeting Daxia in order to destroy Daxia's luck." As soon as the word luck came out, Karl Harman's pupils shrank suddenly. "Who is Sir Margaret? How would you know his thoughts?" You have no right to arrest me, Karl Harman sternly, he said angrily. I am the chairman of the committee personally appointed by Liberty State. Even if you want to ask me for my crime, it is not your T18. The door was opened at this moment. Footsteps sounded. Karl Harman raised his head impatiently. But before he could see who it was, he slapped him hard on the face. The person who did it was Sheng Chen-Sing. He didn't show mercy at all, and dropped another punch. Karl Harman was directly knocked out a tooth by this punch. He was startled and angry. Sheng Chen-Sing, what are you doing? Beat you? Sheng Chen-Sing rolled up his sleeves and smiled. Can't you see? Wang Tong, you go. Su Wangtong's expression was also very cold. He raised his foot and kicked Karl Harman's abdomen. The two beat Karl Harman violently. Roland was stunned. Sir, this. I fucking put his hands in his pockets. I brought people here specially, let them beat them up, and I will be responsible if they beat them up. The car accident that year really almost killed Sheng Chen-Sing. By the time Sheng Chen-Sing and Su Wangtong had exhausted their anger, Karl Harman's nose was bruised and his face was swollen. He opened his mouth. You, Free State, I want to go to Liberty Island for help? Who to call? I fucking looked at him indifferently. Holy Light Tribunal or Intercontinental Research Institute? Come, I'll call for you. With a bang, the phone was placed on the table. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 766. As soon as these two titles came out, Karl Harman's struggle stopped instantly. His eyes widened in shock. How did you? He hasn't been to Free Continent many times, but he doesn't know the major giants in Free Continent. The Holy Light Judgment also has the right to manage the Eternal Academy and the Intercontinental Research Institute. It has a high status and is the only place of judgment. Even though the head of the Holy Light Judgment has not appeared for many years. Well, tell me. I fucking lowered his head slightly and said in a calm voice, who can protect you? I will talk to him. You can guess whether he can protect you. Karl Harman's spirit was on the verge of collapse at this moment. His body was shaking constantly, and his voice was squeezed out of his throat, hysterically. Who are you? Who the hell are you? It is true that I fucking is extremely famous and has hundreds of millions of fans around the world. But how could she say such words in such a calm tone? Specially designed to deal with trash people like you. I fucking suddenly lifted Karl Harman up. His voice was very soft. They are all people who should shine in their respective arenas. Why should they be ruined by trash people like you, superior? Karl Harman opened his mouth, but before he had time to say anything. Boom. I fucking hit him on the temple with an elbow. Karl Harman let out a scream, fell backward uncontrollably, and passed out. I fucking shook hands and refrained from hitting him a second time. Su Wangtong had never seen I fucking like this before. Underneath the girl's calm expression was a suppressed paranoia. There is a dark temperament about her that is different from the one on the screen, as if they are two different people. Half of it is extremely dark, and the other half is of irresistible light. Su Wangtong was stunned for a moment. At this time, I fucking turned around. Her fox eyes curled up and became alive again. Wangtong, I'm so sorry. There is no way to make up for your regret of not being able to compete in the past 10 years. I'm fine. Su Wangtong smiled. It's good for me to be a coach now. Let Jiao complete my unfulfilled dream. She patted the girl's hand. Ching ching, if you are busy, we won't disturb you. I fucking nodded slightly and asked a search officer to send the two of them out. After going out, Su Wangtong looked shocked all the way back to the hotel. The whole person seemed to have wilted all of a sudden. Sheng Chen-Sing frowned and said worriedly, Wangtong, what's wrong with you? Su Wangtong was silent for a long time, and then he let out a long sigh. It turns out that the jokes everyone said casually are actually true. Sheng Chenxing didn't know why. Huh? What's the joke? Su Wangtong looked at the sky with a somewhat sad expression. I said King King's image is very close to that of a spy, and I can make a related film in the next movie. Not only is he close, but he is also the head of the Secret Service. Sheng Chenxing. It seems that Sci-Fi's fans are burdened with a lot of things that they shouldn't bear. Indoor. Hey, Sir Roland rubbed his hands, you actually know someone from the Holy Light Judgment Office? Who is he? Sci glanced at him, what's wrong? If I accidentally go in the future, wouldn't it be possible to reduce my sentence by removing your old name? Roland slapped his face. After all, the people at the Holy Light Judgment Institute have no such thing as human kindness. We know each other, but we haven't seen each other for a long time. Sci touched his chin, thoughtfully. I met him in the silent dark room. The other party said that he was locked up permanently and had been living there for a long time. Roland was extremely shocked. Permanent confinement. Being locked up in a dark room of silence for a week is already a very severe punishment. What kind of evil was this? The sin is heinous. That's what he said, but it doesn't look like it, because he is very strong and very normal, with no signs of torture. Sci fell into memories. I studied with him for those 7 days. There were a lot of things, so when I came out, my strength was overwhelming and I immediately went to clean up the people. That was a long time ago. She entered the dark room of silence many times and only saw that person once. That person's understanding of evolutionaries was very high, no less than Yun Jin's. He taught her how to cultivate spiritual power and other knowledge of evolutionaries. In just 7 days, she benefited a lot. The next few times she entered the dark room of silence, she entered on her own initiative. But she never succeeded in finding this person again. Roland stammered, no. As expected of Chief Margaret. He felt that all her teachers had something to do with their leader becoming like this. Dong dong. There was a knock on the door at this moment. Xiaoqing Tanjingmo put one hand in his pocket. You have a game tomorrow, I will handle the follow-up matters. After saying that, he turned around and said, Mr. Yu, please send her back. Roland's eyes widened in surprise. Yu Zian said calmly, okay. He stretched out his hand, Miss Margaret, please. Sci. The acting was so real that she almost believed it. Tanjingmo took away Carl Hammond, who was unconscious. After he left, one of the investigators lowered his voice, the chief doesn't seem to know anything yet. Roland recalled the last time he was caught gossiping. He suddenly became nervous and hissed, stop talking. Do you want us to be silenced by the chief? The investigator immediately fell silent. They must work diligently before the chief finds out. Karl Harman Hockha was completely dismissed from his post as chairman of the International Games Committee. And because he has used his power to do bad things many times, everything has been revealed and he has been sent to an international prison. But the damage has been done, and the international games can only make up for Su Wangtong, Sheng Chenxing, and others as much as possible. The new chairman posted an apology on the official website and restored several gold medals that Su Wangtong had cancelled that year. Coach Luo finally breathed a sigh of relief, it's all thanks to you this time. You're so awesome. Fortunately, T18 came forward, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. To deal with capital, we can only use tougher methods than him. Sci leaned on the railing and raised his head to blow the wind. I am not so powerful that I am not controlled by others, but no matter what, I must make myself stronger. Only in this way can we protect those around us. Coach Luo was suddenly stunned. He didn't expect Sci to have such a deep understanding at such a young age. What have you experienced? Coach Luo suppressed the words that were on his lips and changed his tone, you have a good rest. You have to run a marathon tomorrow, so you must pay attention to your health. Si fucking lazily snapped his fingers. I understand. The women's marathon officially started at 8 a.m. the next morning. By 7 o'clock, the audience was already crowded in front of the screen. Although the marathon is very boring, I will definitely watch it from beginning to end for Ching Ching. Only Ching Ching can make me get up early. I have already moved a small bench and stood in front of the screen. Wow, my wife's figure is amazing, and her competition uniform looks great. Who do you call wife? Don't you have a wife yourself? Why are you trying to steal my wife? At this time, Dongzhou, Ji family. After the gate of the dead was completely shattered, the Ji family's catastrophe was over. Mr. Ji and the Ji family elders began to organize the family disciples to gradually come back, and joined forces with the other two major families and the four major alliances to establish a tight defensive line of defense for Daxia. In addition to solving daily supernatural incidents, one of the most recent pleasures of the Ji family is watching international sports games. Ji Xingzi specially bought the most advanced projection machine from the cloud and set up the equipment in the hall. At 8 o'clock sharp, the marathon officially started. Ji Xingzi glanced at the east and suddenly said, "Old man, is there something wrong with the weather?" Mr. Ji looked where he pointed. The sky is still clear and the wind is gentle and sunny. But both of them have extremely high attainments in stargazing and fortune-telling, and can see things that others cannot. At Dongsang location, there are clouds gathering and cold current floating. This is a sign that a huge snowstorm is about to come. Good morning. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 767. Old man, it's so strange. Ji Xingzi looked into the distance, his brows furrowed even tighter. It was normal when I saw it in the morning, why did there suddenly appear signs of a snowstorm? Mr. Ji also frowned. The location is Dongsang Qingdu. Is it because there are onmyojis practicing? But there are no onmyojis in Dongsang that can arouse such a big celestial phenomenon. Onmyoji practice will affect the power of yin-yang and 5 elements between heaven and earth, and will cause abnormalities in the sky. The stronger the onmyoji, the greater the celestial changes. The 4 major yin-yang families in Dongsang have been completely defeated, and the rest are small families and casual practitioners of onmyoji. Such a celestial phenomenon can only be caused by the cultivation of an onmyoji of the supreme level. Ji Xingzi thought for a moment, but couldn't think of a reason. He turned his head casually, just in time to see Si fucking who was running on the projection screen. His pupils shrank suddenly. Ji Xingzi immediately took out his mobile phone. Hey, my elder brother is still competing. Too bad, if it really snows heavily, she will definitely suffer. I will call and tell her to withdraw immediately. That's right, Mr. G nodded repeatedly. This snowstorm will fall in Qingdu in less than 20 minutes, and it will get bigger and bigger after that. They must be allowed to terminate the game, so that no one is killed. Ji Xingzi pressed Yu Xian's number. Beep, beep, beep. Only the cold mechanical sound came, and it has been unable to dial. He changed the number of another person and continued to call, but found that he couldn't get through. At this moment, the voice of the great elder sounded from inside the house. Xingzi, look at what's going on with this projector, the screen is suddenly black. Ji Xingzi turned around and looked at the great elder who kept shooting the projector, but the projection screen was still dark, and his heart sank instantly. Oops, it's not a black screen, but the signal is gone. At this time, Qingdu seems to be sealed off, isolating the whole world. Can't get in, can't get out. Qingdu. At the international games, everyone was still sitting on the sidelines of the track. There was no sun in the sky, and a cold wind was blowing up, making the referee shiver from the cold. Coach Luo, the weather has changed. Su Wangtong was a little worried. Won't the marathon end with this kind of weather? Coach Luo stared at the sun covered by dark clouds. Generally, it will not end, but it still depends on the evaluation of the international games. As he said that, he muttered again, I've seen the weather forecast, it should be sunny. No, just in case, I'd better talk to the referee. As soon as Coach Luo stood up, there was a bang, and the billboard in front of him was blown off. Su Wangtong had quick eyes and quick hands, and grabbed Coach Luo's shoulders in time to pull him back, preventing him from being hit by the billboard. The weather changes in just a moment, and there is no time for people to react. It's not just the cold wind anymore. Feather-like snowflakes fell from the sky, menacingly. The wind and snow blew so hard that people couldn't open their eyes. Su Wangtong hugged the pillar in front of him in time to avoid the risk of being blown away. Someone in the crowd screamed. The scene was very chaotic. The chief referee also hugged the pillar. His expression changed drastically. Quickly, stop the race, notify all the contestants and other staff immediately, and terminate today's marathon. The marathon of the International Games is a 100-kilometer cross-country race, which consumes a huge amount of energy. In addition, the athletes are all light-packed, and their bodies are constantly sweating during the running process, and the heat is lost greatly. In extreme weather, they will face hypothermia. Losing temperature during a long-distance race can have dire consequences. Mild hypothermia can cause irregular heartbeat and body shaking. Moderate hypothermia begins to make people fall into a state of numbness, and consciousness is gradually withdrawn. When the temperature is severe, even the skin will swell and turn blue-purple, the whole person cannot move and falls into a coma. The last stage is the deadliest stage, with almost no breathing and heartbeat, and finally there is only death. Chief referee, the snow is so heavy that it's up to your knees, the staff shouted hoarsely. The roads are blocked and the signals are all cut off. We can't get in touch at all. The history of international games is not without major accidents. More than 10 years ago, there was a marathon held in the Principality of Mustan. 33 contestants suffered from hypothermia due to sudden changes in the weather, and unfortunately died. At that time, it was because of a storm, but this time it was a snowstorm. Chengdu is like spring all the year round, and it is the best place to hold sports games. There has never been a heavy rainfall in so many years, let alone a blizzard. This has led to the lack of certain countermeasures by the International Games Organizing Committee. If you can't get in touch, go out and find someone, the referee yelled. Quick, all the rescue teams are dispatched, and we must find all the players immediately. Indeed, as Mr. G predicted, the wind and snow were getting bigger and bigger, and it had reached the point where it was impossible to see the road at all. And when the sky changed completely, Tan Jingmo and Yuan Mingqi stood up instantly and rushed into the snowstorm. One must know that the current Sci-fi has been sealed with the bloodline of an evolutionary. There is no doubt that it is the same as ordinary people. If something happens, it will be bad. One step faster than them was Yu Xian. Brother 9 Feng San said anxiously, can you sense Miss C's position? Yu Xian lowered her eyelashes, and said lightly, someone deliberately obstructed. He could feel that the space was different from the beginning. It seems that it has not changed, but in fact the space has been divided into two parts, inside and outside. They were outside, Sci-fi and other athletes were inside. This is something similar to the Bagua array, like walking a maze. The man's voice was very calm, but Feng San felt a murderous intent emerge from his bones, which made people's hearts chill. Feng San's voice was difficult. 9, brother 9. He couldn't breathe. You can't go on the next road, the weather is weird, you can't bear it. Yu Xian's tone was cold, stay in the shelter, don't move. Long-distance running hypothermia. When the wind and snow were rising, Sci-fi realized these 4 words. She is a doctor, Of course she knows the seriousness of hypothermia. In such a violent snowstorm, there are 60 athletes participating in this marathon. They would all be buried here if emergency rescue was not available. The terrain of Kingdu is complicated, and they are on the mountain at the moment. In such a heavy snowstorm, rescue is even more difficult. Sci raised his head abruptly. This blizzard was so sudden that it violated the laws of nature. But when things go wrong, there must be demons and there must be demons. Sci stopped decisively, turned around and ran back. She is faster than other athletes. After running for a full 10 minutes, they join the second place. But the second athlete has fallen to the ground. The other runners also stopped one by one, showing varying degrees of hypothermia. Sci pinched a few silver needles and pierced directly into the woman's vital points, and she whispered, "Don't sleep, hold on." The woman raised her head with great difficulty, her fingers trembled, and her face turned purple. I. A large amount of heat loss caused all athletes to suffer from severe hypothermia. Sci also felt extremely cold, and his body couldn't stop shivering. There was a layer of frost on the corners of her eyebrows and eyes, and even her lips were cold and blue. But still gritted his teeth and gave other athletes needles, using the power of yin-yang and 5 elements to protect their hearts. This will make them last longer. But it can't take too long. Moreover, when the blood of the evolutionary is sealed, it will be very difficult for her to use the power of yin-yang and 5 elements. Sci exhaled slowly, stretched out a hand vigorously, and released all the yin-yang and 5 element forces in his body. With the remaining yin-yang and 5 element power, she opened up a safe opening. He then struggled to pick up the fainted athlete and walked forward step by step. Feng Xiu became bigger at this moment, as if he was fighting her with all his strength, and was mocking her. Sci sighed lightly. If she could go out, she would definitely be trained by Yu Zian again. I really want to be trained by him again. But she must also quibble, this time she really didn't mean it. Just as Sci wiped the snow off his face indiscriminately, gritted his teeth, straightened himself up and started walking again, a familiar voice suddenly fell. It rang clearly in the ear. Very flat and light. But it seems to have the power to shock the world. It's good to learn the handicap method, but I don't remember teaching you to save people like this. When did you not learn so well and forget all the critical moments that should be learned? The voice called her in an icy and cold tone. Cloud 9. In the wind and snow, a long knife that reflected the cold light split the snow and mist in front of Sci. Suddenly, the light brightened. Is there a baby who needs to watch the third watch? Ching Ching is only short of 60 monthly tickets. 60 votes will be added. Let me finish writing the handsome big brother tonight. This time I was not swallowed. OUO. Finally wrote that the big brother has appeared. It's so hard to get this man on stage. Introduce the daily life of being persecuted by the big brother, smiley face. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 768. In the dark world, a slender figure walked slowly across the thick snow. The wind and snow dispersed, and the figure gradually became clear. Is a man. The man has a surprisingly young and handsome face. The facial features are cold, but sharp. While walking, there is a sense of oppression that only the superiors have. The wind and snow howled, but couldn't get close to him. Sci was stunned suddenly. Big Yuning, the disciple of the top of the cloud. The ultimate control of the wind element. As the man approached, the cold wind was gradually replaced by warm wind. Sci also felt the coldness receding from his body. After her body temperature rose, she also gained strength, and quickly stood up and carried the unconscious athletes back into the cloud shadow field. Then, she took out the silver needle that never leaves her body, and began to treat the athletes again. After hearing their heartbeats return to normal, SI fucking breathed a sigh of relief. Huh, it's okay, it's okay. Yunying didn't speak, but picked up her phone and sent a few messages to contact the rescuers. Si Fu leaned against a tree to rest. Her big brother came to in time. Yes, why so timely? Si fucking was silent for a long time. She finally raised her hand and said hello. Hi, big brother, what a coincidence. Yunying put down the phone, and said in a calm voice, unfortunately, I have been with you for a few days. Si fucking. With such a clever little mind, she couldn't understand this sentence for a while. Patter. The signs of several staff members were thrown in front of her. Si fucking silently looked at the staff certificates for the international games piled up in front of her. There are road cleaners, repairmen, and referees. Each one has a seal on it, absolutely authentic. Brother, when I was playing tennis. The veins on Si fucking's forehead twitched, and he asked with a glimmer of hope, you probably didn't. Yunying saw her thoughts and directly shattered her fantasy, I saw it too. Si fucking. It's better to let her die here. Why save her? She was heartbroken. The numbness reached the extreme, and Si fucking's face became thicker. She stretched out her hand, hey, big brother, lend me your mobile phone. I didn't bring it for running. I'll make a call. Yunying didn't move. Why, contact Zero's chief, your boyfriend. Si fucking, no, how did you know? She never had any intimate contact with Uzion in public. Even if her elder brother pretended to be a staff member and squatted beside her to watch her play, it would be impossible to see this kind of privacy, right? Of course I know. Yunying raised her eyelashes, and gave her an indifferent look. You and Yunsan's tricks are just to deceive the second child. Si fucking didn't know how many times. This is scolding her, Tanjingmo and Yuejian together. Woo woo woo, senior brother is so fierce. Si fucking coughed softly, well, big brother, you see, if I hadn't died, I would have skipped another 3 years, and I would be 29 this year. This person is already in the middle of the 3rd year. He is already a big man. He has a boyfriend or something. She paused, thinking. Couldn't it be that her eldest brother, a widowed old man, has been single for too long, so he doesn't like her very much, so he can find fault with her? With her hands behind her back, Yunying still didn't give her the phone, but said softly, you have good vision. Si fucking let out a sigh, with a cheerful tone, of course, who am I have high vision. However, we still have to continue to settle the accounts that should be settled. Yunying squinted her phoenix eyes and looked indifferently in one direction. He has come to look for you, let him continue to look for you for a while, I will try his strength. Si fucking said, brother, no, Yunying raised her hand, stopped her next words, and suddenly smiled, the strength is really strong, and I have found it in such a short time. Si fucking also heard the sound of footsteps and vibrations in the space. But the word ninth brother hadn't been uttered yet, and the next moment, she was already in another place. Yunju, don't worry. Yunying stroked his sleeve and said flatly, I left a message and told him you are fine. Only then did Si fucking feel relieved. As if thinking of something again, he said aggrievedly, boyfriends are so hard to coax. Yunying glanced at her lightly, you can sue the wicked first. After Si Fu listened, he deeply agreed, it makes sense. Forget it, I can't bear it, let's talk about it when he messes with me. Si Fu pinched his fingers, but he said he would never mess with me again. Wow, big brother, what are you doing? Yunying reached out and lifted her up directly, stop counting, come with me. A few seconds after Yunying left with Si fucking, Uzion arrived at the place where the hypothermia broke out. He glanced around and gently closed his eyes. After the location was confirmed, the rescue team followed suit. Sir, When seeing Yu Zion, the rescue captain opened his eyes wide. How did you get in? This man was only wearing a thin dark gray suit and was unarmed. How did he break through such a heavy snowstorm and come to the middle of the mountain? Even they used the most advanced machines on the cloud to rush over. Yu Zion didn't answer, but said, "Save people first." The athletes were sent out of the snowstorm area by the rescue team. Yu Ejian ran over panting, and rarely said anxiously, "Mr. Yu, have you found Ching Ching?" Yu Zion looked at a snowflake in his palm, his eyes were extremely deep. "Ching Ching is fine." He suddenly recalled that she asked him a few days ago, if someone stronger than Tan Jingmo appeared to fight with Tan Jingmo, would he be able to beat him? It seems that this is the person. Yu Jian was taken aback. Is everything okay? With Yu Zion's character, it is naturally impossible to come back alone. Yu Zion hummed, and repeated Si words, "Someone saved her." There was one more sentence he didn't say. This person is still provoking him. It is also a very lonely thing to have no opponent for a long time. Yu Zion slowly closed her palms. Yu Jian was shocked when he heard it. Big brother is here. If the elder brother finds the younger junior sister before Yu Zion, it means that the elder brother is also inside that snowstorm space. Was he always by their side? None of them have found out yet. The wind and snow didn't make Tsukimi feel the cold, but at this moment she felt a little creepy, and couldn't help rubbing her arms. Yu Zion was keenly aware of Yu Jian's emotional changes. "What's wrong?" "It's nothing." Yu Jian leaned against the pillar, and for the first time lost the light of life in his eyes. "I just have a premonition that life in the future will not be good." The elder brother appeared too suddenly. She had to prepare. If it didn't work, she had no choice but to use her second child as a meat shield in front of her. On the other side, Yuning was still walking with the girl. All the way to the top of the mountain. "Eldest brother, cough, Si didn't give up struggling. Can you stop carrying me? It's very uncomfortable." "This is luggage." "Uncomfortable?" Yunying didn't turn her head. "Well, come down." He did let go. Si landed successfully, and muttered, "It's really hateful." Yunying was non-committal. "Don't speak ill of me behind my back, I have very good hearing." Si blinked, his face full of innocence. "Senior brother, you got it wrong. I praised you for being awesome, I praised you for being handsome. I haven't seen you for a few years, you are even more powerful." Hearing this sentence, Yuning turned her head slightly and smiled inexplicably. "For you, it is indeed only a few years." Si eyes were fixed. "Brother, where have you been all these years?" "I'll talk about it later." Yunying put her hands behind her back. "Look. The top of the mountain is full of wind and snow, and the weather is even worse than halfway up the mountain." Si looked up at the sky. The dark sky is like a huge vortex, as if there are evil spirits roaring, trying to swallow innocent lives. This is definitely not a natural phenomenon. Yunying raised her eyes slightly, and softly, "Is it too impatient for the holy day yet?" Si expression froze. "Elder brother." Yunying stood in the wind and snow, slowly raising her hand. Only one word was said. "Retreat." "Wow, big brother is really handsome. Ask for votes for the super handsome big brother. It's a sister-in-law madman." But the persecuting Ching Ching, who also likes evil tastes, the second senior brother and the third senior sister. Then the senior brother became the joint uncle of His Majesty and Huo Yangxing 2333. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 769. He stood in the wind without even moving his clothes. At this moment, every ray of wind only bows to him. The vortex shook violently, as if it was struggling, roaring and receding not far away. Yunying's expression was indifferent. "We will resist stubbornly." More wind gradually gathers to fight the vortex. Boom. The vortex finally exploded, and the wind and snow also exploded and fell to the ground. Before that, Yunying had used his coat to block the wind and snow to prevent Sci-Fucking from being attacked. After the vortex disappeared, the dense dark clouds began to gradually dissipate. Sci-Fucking noticed Yunying breathing slightly, and his eyes suddenly changed. "Senior brother, are you okay?" Yunying rolled up his sleeves and stretched out his arm. He supported his head with his other hand and looked at her. "Well, give me 2 injections and I'll check." Sci-Fucking. She silently took out the silver needle and inserted it into his acupuncture point. She couldn't help but sigh as she recalled her oppressed past. The wind and snow have obviously begun to lighten up, and the temperature is gradually rising. Yunying tilted his head slightly. "Well, it should still rain for a while." Sci-Fucking's physical strength was exhausted a lot, so she simply sat down cross-legged. "Senior brother, second senior brother and third senior sister all said that you disappeared for 5 years, you." Yunying knew what she was going to ask, and wrote lightly, "I was indeed looking for a way to save you and the person to attack you, but I was accidentally trapped and only came out at the beginning of this year. After I came out, I saw your advertisement, so I knew you were still there." Sci-Fucking's expression suddenly changed. "You have been trapped for 5 years? Where? Is there such a place? In other words, who has this strength? Even Yunying couldn't do it?" Yunying did not answer this question. He squatted down, stretched out a hand, and patted her head. His voice was a little softer. "None of this is important, Xiaju, it will be fine if you come back. The 5 years since he left have not been without gains. Instead, he has learned many secrets that can subvert the entire free continent. It made him feel extremely troubled, and he couldn't find any hope for a while. But now that the junior sister is still alive, things are not irreversible. This time, they have to protect her." Sci-Fucking's heart tightened, and a sense of sourness came over her. "Elder brother. We haven't seen each other for 5 years. We have definitely made a lot of progress." Yunying stood up. He put his hands behind his back and said coldly, "You dare to have a death wish, Yunju? Stop being so angry and don't make me scold you." Sci-Fucking. She must take back her feelings. In front of her senior brother, she was never moved for more than a second. But she also knew that Yunying was doing it for her own good. Presumably after the explosion, Yunying also fell into a trough. In order to avenge her, he was unable to come back for 5 years and suffered unimaginable pain. Sci-Fucking saw Yunying's discarded coat on the ground and coughed lightly. "Elder brother, can I embroider a dress for you?" "Oh," Yunying smiled, "didn't you just leave the cloth for your boyfriend to embroider clothes? I thought I would receive a handkerchief, the kind that is a little bigger than the penis." Sci-Fucking, how do you know this? Is this her omniscient senior brother? Her whole body turned gray. "Let's go." Yunying straightened up. "I still have some finishing work to deal with. You go back first. I don't have time to fight now." Sci-Fucking flexed his wrist, getting ready to take a few steps. But before she could stand up, her shoulders were grabbed by Yunying again. "Then both feet leave the ground." Sci-Fucking protested, "I can leave, please don't mention me. It's very uncomfortable. The evolutionary bloodline is blocked." "What can you do?" Yunying said noncommittally. "Go down the mountain." With ultimate control over the wind element, Yunying is indeed very fast. In a few seconds, they arrived at the bottom of the mountain. Sci-Fucking regained the right to act. Yunying had just taken 2 steps when he suddenly stopped again and said calmly, "You are not allowed to go back until I let you go back to the teacher's gate." Sci-Fucking was startled, and his eyes gradually darkened. "Okay." In the meantime, somewhere. Not knowing what she felt, the woman suddenly opened her eyes and said angrily, "Damn it." The next second, It seemed as if a sledgehammer hit her chest, and stars suddenly appeared in her eyes. The woman spit out a mouthful of blood, her breath became weak, and she was obviously seriously injured. Baiji, the man next to her hurriedly stepped forward. What's going on? Who could let Bridget suffer such serious injuries? My formation has been broken. Bridget took a deep breath and said with a trembling voice, I don't know who it is at the moment. It was such a good opportunity, but it was just gone. The power of yin-yang and 5 elements prevails in Dongsang, so it is a good place to set up an array. She has been preparing for this for a long time. If the athletes of the Daxia Empire could be eliminated in one fell swoop, even though the fate of the Daxia Empire would not be easily destroyed, there would still be a gap. In this way, the arrival of the holy day can also be accelerated. Last time, she finally came to Dongsang. After providing so much information to the 3 yin and yang families in Dongsang, these fools failed in the end. Even the gate of the dead has been destroyed, and a second one cannot be regenerated in a short period of time. This resulted in them being unable to attack Daxia with their undead army. This time, could it be the so-called Yawu again? Bridget closed her eyes. That's all, no matter what, they can't stop it. Let them cling to the little remaining hope and be happy for a while longer. She sat down cross-legged with difficulty and began to heal her wounds. This way. Sci-fi came to the temporary rescue tent and saw Uzian, who was directing the rescue, at a glance. She trotted forward and called him, Brother Ninth. Uzian turned back quickly, and her eyes changed instantly. Sci-fi hugged him, buried her head in his neck, and said in a muffled voice, Brother Ju, my eldest brother is so cruel. He actually carried me all the way. Yes, Uzian hugged her, tightening his arms, but his tone was cold. I have never taught you to save people like that. You are indeed very capable. Sci-fi. Her senior brother actually complained? That's too much. Didn't he just leave a message that she was fine? Who is the villain who complained first? Sci-fi immediately jumped away and said, You are so cruel. I won't care about you anymore. She continued to accuse, Big black-hearted monster, I want to increase your sentence. He pulled her back, smiled and touched her head, and said lightly, Increasing the punishment is invalid. Without any explanation, Uzian picked her up by the waist and said calmly, Come in and drink medicine. After drinking a bowl of very bitter medicine and not getting the comfort of candied fruit, Sci-fi decided. If the senior brother and second senior brother fought with Uzian, she would sit on a small bench and watch them fight while eating melon. The snow in Kingdu has decreased a lot, but the snow on the road has reached waist level, and it will take some time to completely clear it. This prevented rescue teams from other cities from entering. Fortunately, T-18 organized a rescue operation, and there were no casualties so far. After Sci-fi drank another bowl of medicine, she met Yujian, who came to see her. Yujian looked at her without hesitation. Xiaju, you. Third senior sister, stop talking. Sci-fi looked serious. While the senior brother hasn't come back yet, and the second senior brother doesn't know about his return yet, let's quickly put everything on the second brother. Tsukimi thought so too, and her expression became cheerful. No problem. The international games suddenly encountered a snowstorm, and all signals were interrupted. The internet was abuzz at the moment. What happened? The weather forecast is for sunny days these days. Hasn't Kingdu never seen snow before? I have lived in Kingdu for more than 10 years and never seen snow. Urgent, urgent, urgent. Did the rescue team find the marathon runner? Is everything okay? I'm afraid the situation is not too optimistic. I have never seen such bad weather. It is impossible to contact the scene now. Netizens had no way of knowing what was going on at the scene and were extremely anxious. The Yin family also knew that Sci-fi was attending the international games in Kingdu and immediately sent someone there. Sci-fi is now the pillar of the Yin family and nothing can happen to her. Yun 11, come with me, Yin Pingsheng said hurriedly, you are a healer. Your presence can help a lot. Yin Yongzi glanced at the news report that Qingdu had suffered a rare snowstorm in a century, and tried hard to suppress the corners of her lips that wanted to rise. She didn't know why the international games didn't deal with Sci-fucking. This made her feel like ants were eating her, and she couldn't even sleep peacefully. As a result, at the critical moment, Sci-fucking suddenly encountered a snowstorm while running a marathon. This is really God helping her. Sci-fucking died. That couldn't be better. Good morning. What does one thing mean? Senior brother, well, if nothing else, there should be no CP, so I'll give it to you. Oh. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 770. Yin Yongzi knew clearly that even if Sci-fucking could protect herself immediately, she would definitely return to the danger zone for the sake of other athletes. It is this approach that will harm yourself. What a stupid act. Yin Yongzi really couldn't understand why Sci-fucking always liked to do things that were completely unhelpful or even harmful to herself. Even if he saves so many people, what benefits can he bring to himself? Yin Yongzi would never do anything without sufficient benefits. Yongzi, what are you thinking about? Yin Pingsheng saw Yin Yongzi lowered his head and hesitated, and urged again, hurry up. Although the situation of our Yin family is starting to improve, we still need to help each other. This weather change is so sudden that it may not be a simple natural disaster. Yin Yongzi came back to his senses. Sir, I was thinking about something just now. I will follow you right now. She wished that the time would be delayed longer and the snow would fall harder so that Sci-fucking could die without a burial place. Dongsang, Qingdu. The rescue work was very smooth, so smooth that the International Games Organizing Committee could hardly imagine it. The newly appointed committee chairman breathed a sigh of relief. He always felt that this year's Dongsang International Games had gathered a bunch of great people. An hour later, the signal was restored. Sci-fucking also knew that this meant that Yunying's finishing work was completed. Holding a cup of hot tea, she thought about it and quietly handed a medicine bottle to Yuzian. Yuzian's eyebrows moved. What's wrong? Injury medicine. I'm afraid you might start a fight. Sci-fucking sighed. What if you get hurt somewhere? Yeah, Yuzian lowered her eyelashes. If a fight breaks out, who are you going to help? Sci-fucking blinked. Am I the kind of person who will help? If you guys get into a fight, tell me in advance and I'll order a big watermelon from the takeaway. Yuzian was not angry when he heard this. He just touched her head and smiled softly. You are so heartless. Sci-fucking took a sip of hot tea, stretched out her hand and stuffed it into his pocket, feeling very satisfied. It's so warm. Yuzian hugged her tighter. The international games are suspended for a few days. Have a good rest and don't run around. Sci-fucking sighed. I know. Her fate was very sad. To be watched by her boyfriend and senior brother. Even a bird cannot fly without wings. Uncle is here. Yuzian glanced at the phone. I'll pick him up. Ching, you stay here. Sci-fucking waved his hand. Go ahead, I will be really good. Yuzian stood up and left. After a while, Tsukimi lifted the tent curtain and walked in. Sci-fucking suddenly became energetic. Third senior sister, I guess the senior brother will be back soon. Let's communicate again and make sure that all the black water is poured out on the second senior brother. Okay. Yujian sat down. The two began to talk, and when they were facing each other, they heard footsteps. Sci-fucking immediately stopped talking. The tent curtain was lifted for the second time, and Tan Jingmo walked in. His eyes narrowed. What are you two doing sneakily? Si fucking sat up straight and said seriously, I am asking third senior sister for advice on how to communicate with the opposite sex. Yujian lazily curled her lips, junior sister has just started to fall in love. As a senior sister, I have to remind her. Cloud 9, third brother Tan Jingmo's smile remained unchanged, you'd better not let me find out that you are trying to play with me. How could it be? Si fucking raised his hand, second senior brother, you are the most wise and powerful person. This sentence made Tan Jingmo's vigilance rise to the highest level. Show your courtesy for nothing. What does this lawless girl want to do? Tan Jingmo sat down on the other side of the bed, with no intention of leaving. Until a voice came along the wind, like broken snow falling in the air. With all three of us here, I won't have to worry about finding someone. Yunying is still wearing the clothes he left in, but his hair is not messed up at all. The light fell on his eyebrows, making him even more handsome. Tan Jingmo turned around suddenly and was shaken. He paused for a long time before his voice sounded hoarse, senior brother. Yunying stepped forward, patted his shoulder and said, well, I'm back. Rao was used to talking about Jingmo alone, so when he heard these 5 words, his heart felt settled. Compared to Yunjin, who was only able to see each other for a long time, Yunying was the real pillar of support. Si fucking immediately accused, senior brother, I already told you that it was second senior brother who first asked me if I wanted to come to the international games. Tan Jingmo took a deep breath and finally understood what the 2 senior sisters were planning. He smiled, Yunjiu, you'd better think carefully about what I asked you in the first place. He asked her if she wanted to go to the international games, not if she wanted to participate. This skill of scapegoating is really becoming more and more proficient. Si fucking didn't even blink, and said nonsense seriously, second senior brother also encouraged third senior sister to join me in women's doubles tennis. Yujian raised his hand and spoke exactly like a primary school student, senior brother, I prove that Xiaju is right. Tan Jingmo laughed angrily, glanced at the 2 of them, and his voice gradually became dangerous, the 2 of them teamed up to bully me, right? Second brother Yunying responded lightly, get up, let's go out. Tan Jingmo glanced at the 2 innocent junior sisters coolly, nodded, and went out with Yunying. Si fucking immediately raised her head, and Yujian's head was above hers. The 2 of them looked out from the tent together. Third senior sister, let's make a bet. The senior brother will definitely hit the second senior brother in the face first. Si fucking lowered his voice, the face that the second senior brother can show off best is that face. She always firmly believed that Tan Jingmo must have deceived Lu Qingning, who knew how to cook, with his face. Hateful. Yujian thoughtfully said, I think the second brother has little chance of fighting back this time. It turns out that there is not much difference in strength between the first senior brother and the second senior brother. After all, both of them are the masters of the ultimate elements among evolvers. But in the 5 years since Yunying disappeared for no reason, Yujian could see that his progress was much higher than what could be accumulated in 5 years. Si fucking also remembered what Yunying said. For them it's 5 years. So, this means that it is much more than 5 years for Yunying. Si fucking's eyes suddenly changed. Is it possible that senior brother has been in the eternal continent for the past 5 years? But in a holographic game, you can exit at any time, so how could you not be able to exit? The 2 of them watched for a long time, but neither Yunying nor Tan Jingmo was seen. 10 minutes later, the senior brother came back. Tan Jingmo's face was indeed stained, leaving a mark. Si fucking handed over the medicine skillfully. In the past, when other senior brothers and sisters in the division started fighting, she was responsible for the logistics. Yunying's aura was not disturbed at all. He wiped his hands and turned around, next, let's talk about the 2 of you. Si fucking. What's going on? Is second senior brother's human shield not thick enough? Yun Ying's tone was cold. How did you come up with the idea of sealing the evolution bloodline competition? Yu Jian coughed slightly. That's right, senior brother, someone wants to destroy Daxia's luck. My ancestors are also from Daxia. There's nothing wrong with me playing tennis with Ching Ching, right? The reason is good. Yun Ying tapped his finger on the table. Yunju. Si fucking wrapped her coat tightly. I'm here to make money. Yun Ying gave her a meaningful look. He unbuttoned his shirt to let some air in, and said calmly, go and call everyone in. Si fucking thought that it was finally the other senior brother's turn to suffer, so she humbly asked, where is the sixth senior brother? Hearing this, Yun Ying raised his eyelids and said, do you still have hope in him? With these few minutes, let him make more money. Si fucking. Very good, in just a few minutes, the senior brother completed 4 kills. None of them are rivals. Si fucking walked out of the tent with heavy steps. Lang Xian and Yuan Mingqi, who were completely unaware, entered the tent under her leadership. When they saw the man sitting at the top, their eyes changed. Here we come. Yun Ying still lowered his head slightly, playing with his phone. Sit down in order. Si fucking sat in the last seat very obediently. She was not afraid. There were 4 people blocking her in front of her, who could share her senior brother's firepower. Facing Yuning, whether it was Lang Xian or Yuan Mingqi, their nerves tensed up instantly and their bodies tensed up. In fact, they were not familiar with Yun Ying. Yun Ying is the most mysterious person besides Yun Jin, the lord of the top of the clouds. If it weren't for Si fucking's presence, Yuan Mingqi would only see Yun Ying only a handful of times a year. He only knew that Yun Ying's strength was unfathomable. After not seeing each other for 5 years, this man looked even more terrifying. So, in such a battle, was it really not Yun Ying who was interrogating the 5 of them alone? Well, we're all here. Yun Ying finally raised his eyes, and his cold expression softened a bit. You have all worked hard in the past 5 years. The biggest blessing is that Xiaju is still here. Yun Ying suddenly turned his head, looked at Tan Jingmo, and said, by the way, she has a boyfriend. Why don't you ask her who her boyfriend is? Tan Jingmo narrowed his eyes slightly and slowly looked at Si fucking. Yun Ying tossed the phone and said lightly, well, Yun San and Yun Wu also know, you can also ask them. Ching Ching, danger. Your Majesty, danger. A fierce fight is about to take place. You guys are so bad, why do you think of arranging a girl for senior brother who will cry when he is in trouble? After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 771. The whole tent fell silent. Yuan Mingqi felt his back tightening. Especially after Tan Jingmo glanced over, he deeply realized what it meant to be seen open. The only person present who was not attacked by sight was Lang Xian. He fell silent, and then he seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes turned cold when he looked at Yu Jian and Yuan Mingqi. My junior sister is in love, and you two didn't say anything. Wait, doesn't that mean he's the last to know? Lang Xian took a deep breath, gritted his teeth and smiled. You'd better know that our company's unmanned fighter jets are still there. Others rely on evolution, while he relies on technology. Who is not a ruthless person on the top of the clouds? At this moment, if looks could kill, the whole tent would be filled with blood. Si fucking's eyes were dull, and his eyes had lost their luster. Her senior brother has actually turned into a roundworm and wormed his way into everyone's stomach. How come he knows everything? There was an undercurrent of wind and rain in the tent, hiding murderous intent. Only Yun Ying sat motionless at the top. He even took a bottle of red wine from his arms, opened the cork, poured a glass, and shook it slowly. The silence was finally broken by Tan Jingmo, who said calmly, Lao San, you are doing well. He moved his wrist. I finally know what's wrong with you these days. Tell me honestly who Yunju's boyfriend is. Yu Jian was the first to recognize Si fucking, and even disguised herself as an ordinary face to become her assistant. So it makes sense for Yu Jian to know who Si fucking's boyfriend is. But hiding it from him wouldn't work. Tan Jingmo didn't wait for Yu Jian's answer, and said calmly, Lao Wu also knows, it's really strange. No wonder you looked at me wrongly in those days, waiting to see my joke. Yuan Mingqi. He never expected that he would not fall into Tan Jingmo's hands, but would be exposed by Yun Ying, who had just returned. Should I say he is worthy of being a senior brother? Just as there was a tit-for-tat confrontation, the curtain of the tent was lifted. The cold wind rushed in, causing the brothers and sisters to restrain their auras in unison. Yu Zian walked in, holding a thermal bag in his hand. Inside is a tonic soup made by Ye Zhenmian. Si fucking cautiously kept giving him looks, signaling him to run quickly, otherwise it would be too late. The two of them had a good rapport. Yu Zian received the signal. He narrowed his eyes, his thoughts changed, and he knew what happened in an instant. However, Yun Ying took the last sip of red wine at this time. His eyes were light and he smiled, my boyfriend is here, we are all waiting for you. This sentence just fell. Crack. Tan Jingmo crushed the cup in his hand. Si fucking. It's over. If she couldn't defeat Yun Ying now, she would definitely find a way to sew his mouth shut. Shua. In an instant, all eyes that could kill were focused on Yu Zian. Tan Jingmo took a deep breath and restrained his urge to kill. He recalled how he had asked Yu Zian to take care of Si fucking during this period, and he wanted to go back and strangle himself to death. He was clearly sending the little sheep in front of the big bad wolf. The most important thing is that Yu Zian must also know everything. But the acting skills were so superb that he didn't notice it at all. The third and fifth children can be dealt with later, but Chief Zero cannot be spared. As soon as Tan Jingmo stood up, Yun Ying was already one step ahead of him and was in front of Yu Zian in an instant. I'm going to test my stupid sister's vision for choosing a partner. What do you think, Mr. Yu? Yu Zian smiled lightly, it's disrespectful. The next second, the two people left the tent at the same time. One controls the wind, and the other controls the space system? One walked faster than the other. Si fucking. She began to think silently, whether she should catch up and say something. Don't you want to fight? Si fucking turned his head and lowered his voice and said, Third senior sister, why don't we run away? Before Tsukimi could speak, a hand pressed her shoulder. I'm afraid not. Tan Jingmo smiled, Yunjiu, I can only let you run away alone for the time being, and I will take care of you later. After saying that, he turned his head and said, Fourth brother, I leave the fifth child to you. Si fucking watched helplessly as two more groups of people separated. There's nothing wrong with a 2-2 duel. She left the tent dejectedly holding the tonic soup and went to the tent next door. The coaches were among them, and when they saw her coming in, they all stood up excitedly. Comrade Si, fortunately you're fine. The general manager breathed a sigh of relief, but still had lingering fears. If something happens to you, I don't know what to do. This snowstorm was strange. It came suddenly and went away even more suddenly. Caught everyone off guard. The cell phone rang at this moment. Ching ching, you scared me to death. Sang Yanking's voice was still trembling. I started to wonder if you were a ghost. Why do you always encounter such things? Si fucking comforted her. Sister Sang, am I okay? If something happens, you can still stand here and call me. Sang Yanking raised his voice, it's too dangerous outside. You should go back to Daxia after participating in the remaining projects. I went to tell your fans that they were safe, and they were all crazy. Si fucking thought for a while and said, let the studio open a live broadcast room, and I will do it myself. Soon, the live broadcast room will be online. All the mooses came in. Seeing Si fucking appear on the screen intact, their hearts were relieved. Yua, it's great that baby Ching Ching wasn't injured except that she looked badly beaten. Hiss, my wife's expression is wrong. Why does she feel like she has lost hope in life? What happened? Honey, don't be disappointed, let me coax you, love rivals all get out of the way. Si fucking. She just wanted to die. Si fucking interacted with fans patiently and answered their questions one by one. The marathon will probably not be held again. I have several other events that you can take a look at then. Boom. Suddenly, there was a loud noise and the ground shook suddenly. Coach Luo panicked and jumped up, there's an earthquake. Everyone, run. Dongsang is located at the junction of tectonic plate movements, and earthquakes occur frequently. When Coach Luo saw the others, they were still doing their own things, and no one ran out. Was he the one who made the fuss? Si fucking raised his head and coughed lightly, actually. In fact, there were two very fierce people fighting. Yu Xian and Yun Ying were not the only ones fighting. There is also Tan Jingmo and Yu Jian. Even Lang Xian turned his murderous attention to Yuan Mingqi, and the two were ready to fight at any time. Only she is safe now. They are really a good teacher who loves each other. At this time, Yin Pingsheng arrived with the rescuers of the Yin family. What made him a little confused was that the ground not far ahead actually cracked. Yin Yungzi was a little worried. Elder Tai's Hang, is this another earthquake? With the earthquake and snowstorm, the possibility of survival is almost zero. Yin Pingshen's heart sank. Sister fucking is fine, a little girl said excitedly. The studio just launched a live broadcast for fans, and sister fucking even replied to my message. Yin Pingshen was overjoyed. Is everything okay now? The girl nodded vigorously. I just look a little tired. Yin Yungzi's expression froze slightly. But it passed in a flash and returned to its soft appearance. But her heart began to twist crazily, and dark thoughts began to breed crazily. Si fucking's luck was ridiculously good. Such a huge disaster, but nothing happened. Why didn't you die? Yin Pingshen nodded. As long as Fu Qing is fine, let's help the rescuers handle the matter. Yin Yungzi followed reluctantly, and began to curse Si fucking to die. Suddenly, she felt eyes falling on her. This gaze was so cold that it made her scalp feel numb. When she hurriedly looked up, she couldn't find the owner of her sight. Here, Yu Jian slowly withdrew his gaze. Second brother, stop, she raised her hand. It's useless to fight like this. I think we can shake hands and talk. Tan Jingmo rolled up his sleeves slowly and gracefully. Why, have you thought of any good reasons? Tsukimi shrugged. The fight between us is just to give each other an advantage. How about we work together to deal with the outside world? Tan Jingmo glanced at Yu Xian and Yun Ying, who were fighting inseparably. You don't seem to be able to join the battlefield over there. His eyes were also very solemn. At least in his knowledge, the only one who could fight Yun Ying for so long was their master Yun Jin. But Yun Ying has always been elusive and very low-key. Everyone in the free continent does not know that the top disciple of the Cloud Summit actually has the strength to rank among the top 5 in the free continent. In terms of strength, Yu Xian's performance far exceeded Tan Jingmo's expectations. But the fact that Yu Jian, Si fucking, and Yu Xian teamed up to deceive him must not be left alone. She is really his good junior sister. I've never seen an elbow turned out like this. Tan Jingmo pulled off his loosened tie, and his smile deepened. Third brother, don't change the subject. Either you die or I die today. Yu Jian choked and pointed in one direction. It's urgent. The Yin family is here. Tan Jingmo paused. Yin family. He did know that Si fucking's father's family in this life was the Yin family. It's just that he has always been indifferent to other things. He has a cold nature. There were too few people who could take his heart to heart, and one of them was easily deprived of him by God. Well, that woman. Yu Jian squinted her eyes and locked her eyes again on Yin Yungzi, who was walking with her head lowered. I just had a glimpse of her thoughts. More than once, she maliciously cursed my junior sister for not dying. Who could let some people be so ignorant that they come together during a fight to the death within their division? Good morning. It's the end of the month, everyone who has a monthly ticket can vote for it. Suddenly I felt that everyone around me was watching the World Cup, and I, who was busy from morning to night and relied on coffee to survive without enough sleep, was very out of place and sad.